Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning, boys and girls, depending on where you are around the freaking world. And yes, we are back again with another freaking video, and today we're going to be tackling a young man called Casey. And the title of the video is, I'll just eat until I'm dead, probably. My £3,000 family. But of course, before we get into that, boys and girls, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're so close to 10k subscribers, you know what I mean? And at the same damn time, please make sure you smash the like button, you comment throughout, and you share the video at the end. But with that being said, let's talk about Casey. Now, boys and girls, what I'm about to show you may be unsettling for your stomachs, give or take, obviously, you know, what you can handle and obviously how you take to seeing another human being that is obviously overweight. So with that being said, boys and girls, this is Casey. Some of you may know Casey already from this TV show, but I'm about to talk about him and give you guys my opinion on the situation at hand, okay? Now, Casey is someone that is 34 years of age, or at least when this video was taken anyway, which was back in 2019. So Casey is probably about 36 now, okay, give or take. Now, with that being said, Casey is someone that originally was living with his mother. And when he was living with his mother said to him, Casey, you cannot live here unless you work. Now, Casey is someone that has expressed that he's always been a big child anyway, but because he had to work just so he can live at home with his mother, the only job he could find at the time was a job in fast food. So because he was in an environment where he was having a lot of fast food for cooking and also eating, it caused him to gain more and more weight, which had him pretty much weighing all the way up to 500 pounds at that moment in time himself in particular. But once he realized that he was getting bigger and bigger and that he just couldn't work anymore, or he just didn't want to work anymore, he quit his job. So his mom was like, Casey, you gotta go. So do you know what he did instead? He then moved out and lived with his father instead. Now, Casey was already on a downfall anyway with the fact that he was putting on his weight. But then his biggest downfall then came after he moved with his father, because his father then pretty much became his enabler. In fact, Casey goes as far as saying that my dad Miles will be my enabler because I don't go out my way to buy the food. I don't go out my way to make the food. My father buys all the food, he makes all the food, and he never says no to me. So to be honest with you, he is my enabler. And that's something that Casey pretty much went and said, which is heavily, heavily sad. So obviously, him living at home with his father meant his father was feeding him food every single day. And I mean, when I say food, I saw clips of him eating 5 burgers per freaking meal. I mean, just for a meal, just per meal, you know? So therefore, it got to a point where Casey says that it didn't matter how much he ate. Even if he got sick, he would still eat some more. He says sometimes you eat just so he could be sick, so he could eat some more. I mean, honestly, some of the things he was saying were rather worrying and repulsive. But, you know, when we go back to this image here, boys and girls, as you can see, Casey has a headset on. The reason why he's got a headset on is because Casey said that whenever he played games, it would always make him feel like he was in a different reality, because he was in a reality where no one could know what he looked like and no one could judge him based on his size. So gaming was something that he used as an escape from his own reality of knowing that he needed to better himself. In fact, Casey even said that, listen, if I could stay slim by eating tons, then that would be the dream. But to be fair, guys, that is a cliche that we've heard so many times from so many people who are overweight. But let's talk about the weight that he's at now. The weight he's at now, sadly, boys and girls, happens to be, the weight that he got to at a certain point, okay, was 700 pounds. Now, his heaviest weight is actually over 800 pounds. That is his heaviest weight. But Casey realized he needed to get some help. So what did he do? He obviously was a part of this TV show and he got his help. And within the journey of him getting help, he had to lose a significant amount of weight just for him to have surgery. And this is the road to him pretty much having that surgery. I mean, this is the road to him obviously losing the weight that he had. So at this moment in time, Casey had lost just over 100 pounds, okay, which is fantastic for him, honestly. But before he even got to the stage of him losing just that 100 pounds, Casey had issues when it came to washing himself. Casey came out to say that I couldn't even go into a shower because I couldn't fit in one. I couldn't get into a normal tub because I just couldn't fit in one. So therefore, Casey had to be in a situation where there's only one way he was ever going to clean himself, and that was him pretty much getting inside a tub. And this is the tub itself in particular where Casey had to use to be able to actually wash himself, okay? It's not the best of size, boys and girls, it really is not. But in this situation itself at hand, his dad would be there to support him. Not support him in a way where his dad would actually try and clean him, but support him in a way where his dad would fill up the tank. Okay, the tub itself, the metal tub outside of his front freaking yard. Just imagine having to wash yourself outside of your yard. You know what? I can respect him for wanting to clean himself anyway, because there's a lot of people in his position that would not clean themselves. So I do have respect for him in that way. And he does explain that cleaning himself wasn't easy. he couldn't always get to certain areas that, he wanted to. So therefore, those areas would have to go uncleaned, unfortunately. But at the same damn time, he spoke about, just having to peel his skin just to get underneath the skin, just so he can clean those parts. Wasn't exactly the best feelings themselves in general, if you dig what I'm saying. Now, obviously, throughout the whole thing, I feel like Casey always had a mentality where he wanted to lose weight. It was just, he just couldn't, because in his eyes, the reason why he was big was because his dad and his mother it was his dad kept feeding him. That's why he called his dad an enabler. And to be fair, there's even a part when he's in a meeting with his mum and he's with dad, okay? And they ask the question, so who feeds him this and that? And Casey says, listen, if I ask my mum for a sweet, she would go and get me that one sweet. If I ask my dad for a sweet, he would go and get me a whole big pack of chocolates, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, the scene itself in particular wasn't built around the fact that which parent feeds him more. It was built more around the fact that Casey does not want to take any responsibility for his size. And because he doesn't want to take any responsibility for his size, that was one of the biggest things that held him back from actually losing weight that he needed to lose. But, of course, Casey was now on a journey. And as you saw, boys and girls, Casey was so much of a journey that he ended up losing, obviously, just over 100 pounds, right? Where obviously which brought us to this state here where he was 700 pounds. But, obviously, he's on a road to having surgery. So just before he has surgery, boys and girls, this is the weight that so has he got surgery? This is the weight that Casey got to, 525 pounds. Now, this picture here is of Casey once he had his surgery. As you can see, he had lost a total of 186 pounds based on the moment in time. But as you can see, people, this is Casey before and this is Casey after. But of course, 525 pounds is not a weight that you just stay at. So one thing that I can say with Casey is that, and I respect for him, is that even though he got to a stage where he was lighter, he's feeling better, he was able to have surgery, that did not stop him. So he moved on, and now Casey has his own YouTube channel. And on his YouTube channel, you can see him right now, and he's now weighing 290 pounds. Okay, that's the most recent update he's given us about weighing 290 pounds. And in fact, he also talks about skin removal and XYZ. Okay, but that's a different conversation itself at hand, boys and girls. But obviously, as you can see here, we may not be able to see his body, but we can see within his face that he's come a long, long, long way. And we can only respect him for that. But, boys and girls, let's go all the way back to the beginning again, though, with the story of Casey. There were even parts in the whole episodes that I saw where he even just said, listen, guys, if I gotta die eating, then I'm gonna die eating. And that's not a mentality for him to have, you know what I mean? And then obviously this past week, obviously reflected and he was like, well, my dad always buys me what I want, so I'm going to eat what I want. Because, end of the day, it's him buying it for me. It's not me going out of my way. So, of course, see, we've got the first part of where he's like, you know what, I've given up. I don't really care. I like food. Then we got the part where he's like, you know what, it's not even my fault that I'm like this. This is my father's fault. This is my mother's fault, And that was the second part of where he was not owning up to his own stuff. Now, obviously, at some point down the line, Casey decided to pick himself up. He decided to obviously own up to himself, and he realized that he needed to better his life. Otherwise, at 34 years of age, he was pretty much going to be down within the next couple of years, which is something that he did not want to have, which is why we're fortunate to still see him alive now in 2021. Hence the reason why he now has his own channel called Cassie King FBTT. If you guys ever want to check that out, if you dig what I'm saying. In fact, I will leave the link of his new channel in the description to make it a whole lot easier. Give or take that I remember, because my memory's terrible. What can I say? But, boys and girls, this is all I want to say in the situation itself at hand. This is the advice that I want to give to you, boys and girls. This is the information I want you to take away. And the information that I want you to take away, boys and girls, is very simple. Tough love is something that you should never fear. Tough love is something that his dad did not have. And tough love is something that his mum didn't have as well for a very long time. But to be honest with you, I'm going to put more of the pressure on the father. Why? Because I'm a guy. And growing up as a guy, we are built to be, when growing up, we are taught to be leaders. We are taught to be alphas. We are taught to be the one who is the bone in a relationship that can give the child that backbone, while the mother can be the one that gives the child more of the cushioning, if you know what I mean. Obviously, that's not something that we live by anymore. But obviously, me being a guy, all I can say is that the dad should have given his son tough love from the very beginning. Even if he resorted to his son not liking him and his son hating him, it wouldn't have mattered, because in the long run, his son would have reflected on it and be like, do you know what, Dad? Thank you so much for actually telling me that I can't have that, I can't have this, because now I'm in a better place. Now, obviously, that didn't happen. So luckily, his parents are very, very lucky that Casey was able to pick himself up, along with obviously all the support that he had around him anyway, to get him to a state where he actually was able to lose the weight and better himself. So there is a positive in the end, but either way, tough love is the best love. Okay, honestly, because where I work in an environment of children, I experience parents and even teachers, members of staff who will be super nice to children because they demand that, because they're so desperate for that child to love them and that child to respect them. They will be so nice to them, and it's like you realize that child doesn't respect you, right? The more nicer you are to the child, and the less stricter you are, the more that child looks at you as a friend. The more that child looks at you as a pawn, looks at you as someone that they can use to their advantage. But if you're someone that a child can learn to respect and understand that when boundaries are set in place, boundaries need to be met, children will generally grow to understand them. End of the day, forget the child part. When you get older, we all know this. Once you get a job, you're always going to have rules and regulations. You're always going to have boundaries. There's no way you can work in a world where you live by your own rules. There's no way you can do that unless, I guess, you're the boss. You know what I mean? But end of the day, there's a reason why tough love is something that should be put into your brain there's a reason why tough love should be something that's put in your brain from young, and that's why there's a reason why you as a parent should be putting tough love into any situation you have right now with your child. Because at the end of the day, your child should never be able to walk all over you. But most importantly, your child should respect you as their biggest role model because you've taught them that sometimes I've got to be tough to you for you to know that what you're doing isn't the best thing for you. You know what I mean? Especially the fact that this young man got all the way up to over 800 flipping pounds. That is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely freaking ridiculous, if you dig what I'm saying, okay, boys and girls. But with that being said, boys and girls, either way, the man himself has got himself all the way from 800 pounds all the way down to 290 pounds, you know what I mean, which I think is fantastic. And to be fair, if you're wondering where did I get this 800 pound thing, is just that I saw it on a thumbnail somewhere else where he's saying apparently he was 800 pounds. It's just that when I tried to look for his start date on the videos related, they just kept coming up with 700 pounds, but apparently it was 800 pounds. So yeah, it is what it is. But either way, boys and girls, either way, boys and girls, you give me your opinion on the matter itself at hand. I really hope you took away some information here, or something that you could use to benefit yourself as an individual, or something you could use to benefit yourself as a parent, or something that you could use to benefit yourself as a friend to someone else, you know what I mean, or a family member in general. But with that being said, I'll see you boys and girls down below in the comment section. Smash the like button. Of course, we're trying to get a 10K, so subscribe, people, share the video, and we are done and out. Peace.